to start by saying it's the last show in the current series, but we're back. Well, that makes me feel bad now. But we've got a great lineup for you. We're back later in the year, obviously, but tonight, to end the series, we've got a great lineup. Let's see who's in my green room for you, fresh from an incredible sport relief challenge that saw her run, cycle and swim her way from Edinburgh all the way down to London. What an achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Davina McCall. Congratulations. What a hero. That's some achievement. My next guest has won a Grammy for her singing, a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, an Oscar for her acting, and this evening I'm proud and delighted to present her with one of our much-coveted Jonathan Ross Show mugs. It's Jennifer Hudson. The fabulous Jennifer Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we have one of the most popular presenters on TV. She's a great comedian and she hosts the Great British Bake Off. It's Sue Perkins. Sue Perkins is right there. Half of the Mel and the Sue combo. And we also have, I think, Britain's best-loved business tycoon. Incredibly, he's also soon to be an astronaut. You know who I'm talking about? He is, of course, Sir Richard Branson. Who doesn't love Richard Branson? Good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And what incredible music we have for you this evening from the Mercury award-winning and platinum album-selling The Sublime Elbow will be performing live at the end of the show. Hello, chaps. How are you? Mostly from Ramsbottom, I believe. OK, now, that's the show. But did anyone see the Oscars last Sunday? Did you watch the Oscars or did you watch the highlight? Yeah. It was hosted by the fabulous Ellen DeGeneres, and halfway through, she took a selfie of herself during the show. You've probably seen it. It's been retweeted more than 3 million times. If you haven't seen it, here it is. Look at this. There it is. That is some selfie, and that sets the bar pretty high. Look at that lineup. Meryl Streep, Brad Pitt, Bradley Cooper, Julia Roberts, Angelina Jolie and Kevin Spacey. That is like, I'm a celebrity, get me in there. That's what that is. There's been a lot of speculation about the identity of the man on the far left. The one who's almost in it. You see that? People aren't sure who that necessarily is. Then someone online solved the mystery. I found this when I was browsing. Look at this. That's incredible. Isn't that something? He really is everywhere. He's omnipresent. OK. I don't know if anyone saw this picture in the papers this week. Have a look at this. Whoa! Look at that. It's a snake attacking a crocodile. That's one fight where you really can say is just handbags. He's stuffed to the gills. He's like Paul Hollywood at the Bake Off final. Sue, can I just check? Paul, he can actually, am I right in thinking he can dislocate his jaw to get the bigger... Yeah.
He feeds twice a year. And he can, mainly in Cheshire nightclubs, and he can just open up the jaw there. It's a magnificent sight to see him in the wild.
There you go, there you go. You heard it here first. The Chinese this week celebrated Ouyuar Day. I think that's the correct... It's not Ouyuar Day, it's Ouyuar Day, OK? I believe it's the second day in the second calendar month of the new year. And that's the day when, according to Chinese tradition, the dragon raises its head. And it's said to be the luckiest day of the year to get the haircut. You don't have your haircut the first month of the new year. You wait till the second day of the second calendar month, OK? And then it's considered very good luck. Although, judging by the faces of these three little boys, it must get better as the day goes on. Have a look at this one. He's out there. I mean, talk about cute. He's so cute, but he doesn't seem very happy about it. I think maybe he wanted a Harry Styles. They've given him the Wayne Rooney. That's why he's sad. Here's another. Look at this little fella. Look at that. Oh! He looks undecided, though. He's giving a little bit of a Liam Gallagher sneer at his reflection there. OK, here's my favourite. OK, this cannot fail to cheer you up. How happy is he, eh? He loves it. I'll tell you what I like about that picture is it looks like they've left his body at home and just put his head in on a pillow. That's just a head on a pillow. He is so sweet, isn't he? Let's get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen. You couldn't help but be amazed by her courage, her determination. When she just finished, she ran, she swam and she cycled the entire length of this country. And not just that, it was some of the worst weather imaginable. She is, without doubt, the First Lady of British TV. Please welcome Davina McCall. Congratulations, and thank you for coming on to tell us about it. Come and sit down. Well, as I was saying, man, what an achievement. And congratulations. Tell me, before we talk about it in depth, what actually did it involve? So you started in Scotland.
Started in Edinburgh on a very wet and rainy morning, and we did 17 hours cycling the first day in just the worst weather I have ever ridden in. And about 4 hours in, they pulled me over to the side and they put me in a van, and I just burst into tears, and they said I sort of had the beginnings of hypothermia. And I lay down in the van and was just sobbing, and I thought, this is 4 hours in. I've got another 6 days left. How am I going to do this? And I got into the hotel that we were staying in that night at 12:30 at night, and do you know what they did to me?
What?
They put me in an ice bath.
What? Why did they do that?
I got in, and I was in my cycling shorts because the physiotherapist had to come in and make sure that I'd got in it and that I wasn't lying like you do when you're a kid. Yeah, I'm having a bath. noisy. So I got in, and I'm just sitting in my cycling shorts, my top just crying in the morning. I want to go to bed.
How long did they make you sit in the ice bath?
10 minutes.
And that's because of the lactic acid in the muscles.
I mean, I wouldn't have been able to walk the next day, and I had to get back on a bicycle the next morning to cycle to Scarfell Pike, which I then...
Can I ask you, how was your undercarriage after that? Because...
Jonathan... Wait, day one was so bad in that area that the next... Well, no, at the end of day one, I went to the loo, and I don't know if you've now haven't had a baby, but yes, it was like that. But I went to the loo, and I sat down, and I was crying on the loo, just going... like that. And then the next day I had to get back on the bike, and I said, I can't do it. So we had to concoct this amazing, we called it fanny fudge. Oh. And it was made of... You know, when children go to the hospital, they've got a very good anaesthetic that they put on so they can get... So we mixed some anaesthetic with some chamois cream, and I basically plastered myself in that.
Wow.
And I basically didn't have an undercarriage for the last 4 days. I was like, yeah, I can get on this bike, no problem. Can't even feel it.
They should make saddles out of that stuff, then we'd all be fine. Built in.
We were thinking of marketing it, Davina's Fanny Fudge.
OK. I'm not asking for any personal reasons, but everything's OK now then.
Jonathan, wait! Oh God, and I can just see my press chaps backstage going, don't say anymore. But anyway, I'm going to. But we finished on Valentine's Day, and
Happy Valentine's Day, darling. You're not coming in the bedroom.
That's exactly. I'm afraid we had to rain check.
What was it that got you back on the bike? What was it that in your head?
Well, just before I went to visit a project, and we went to visit a few women that work in a quarry. And it's not just women, it's women and their children. And these women and children work all day, and their 3-year-old children are walking around with big buckets, collecting huge rocks. They then take the huge rocks to their big sisters and their mums, who it's mind-numbingly boring to have a stick with a rock, and they just hit the rock all day. They can't speak to each other because they'll hit their fingers or they'll hurt themselves. They just sit there hitting, and for 10 bags of rubble, you'd get £1. So a community would be doing that. And it's such an incredibly hard life. These kids, they come home, they were walking home with their faces completely white from dust, and inhaling that all day. And there's an amazing project that Comet Relief and Sport Relief support, where they take one of the girls from the project and they teach her how to make friends and play, because they just don't know how to do that.
They're not doing
and then they give the mum a career, so that when the girl comes back, the girl can go to school, the mum's got a career, they don't have to be in the quarry anymore.
And is that
it's just
part
breaking
of
a cycle.
what the fundraising will be going towards, is to get people out of that cycle?
Yeah.
OK, let's have a look. This is Davina in action. This is for a documentary they haven't quite finished yet, but it's called Beyond Breaking Point, for reasons which I think you understand now. This will be going out Thursday, 20th of March, just before Sport Relief Self on BBC One. Look at this.
Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm being worse. I can't
Now that's water. I'm completely fine. I've warmed up now and I'm ready to get on the bike.
We are in Windsor and Davina is running a marathon into London.
I'm feeling so elated. You know, I keep thinking back to people that kept me going when I really thought I just had nothing left. I think it's probably changed me a little bit as a person.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. It's incredible. What an incredible achievement, ladies and gentlemen. What a remarkable woman. Wow, man, that's giving too much. OK. How much did you raise? How much have you raised so far with that?
I'm thinking that we've raised £1 million so far, and I'm hoping that when the documentary goes out, hopefully, you know, it will raise some more.
Even more.
We'll be, yeah.
So what's next for you? You've got Sport Relief coming up.
Long Lost Family.
Oh, of course, the Long Lost Family. That's a very emotional show as well, isn't it?
It's hugely emotional.
It's like a kind of serious surprise in a way, isn't it? Where you bring
well,
people...
it's a bit like Who Do You Think You Are, but it's about reuniting people. But what I like is it's not just about adoptions. It can be about missing people. It can be about people that have run away from home, or there's so many different reasons why people do something, or people think that they can't get back in touch because so-and-so won't be pleased to hear from them, but actually it's the opposite.
But there must be the chance that it could be that the person doesn't want to hear from them, or it could go wrong.
Yes, I mean, 1 in 7 stories is a success, and the other 6 are either they don't want to be found, or they're not alive anymore, they can't be found, or they have been found but they don't want to be reunited on camera, in which case you do it. You do it anyway. In which case
you do it without filming them?
Yes.
I'm not going to be a sort of like amateur psychologist here, but obviously we know that you had, you know, you've been public about this. There was a distance between you and your mother.
My mum, yeah.
For many years. So I would have thought, does that help you going into a situation like this, knowing that you have yourself had problems, you know, in your own family at that level?
There are definitely stories that I can relate to. There was one woman in Liverpool who I absolutely loved, and her mum had walked out on her. And it is sort of, it's like a taboo in a way when your mum leaves you. So when you meet somebody else that has been through the same thing, it's a really nice, you can empathy to have with somebody. But also my cousin, who came back into our lives about 12 years ago, she was adopted. And so I have had experience of what it's like to welcome somebody that's adopted into your family, and it was amazing meeting her because she's the same age as me, and we look exactly the same. We've got the same laugh. And she said, I've been such a misfit, well, not a misfit in her family, but she wasn't like anyone in her family. And we keep looking at each other going, look at the nose, oh my God, puffin nose. Roman.
Davina,
yes.
how great to have you. And once again, you know what, I've always admired you, but seeing you accomplish that, because, man, what an achievement. And you're the first woman they've asked to do something to that level of endurance, and you pulled it off incredibly well. What a remarkable thing to do. So thank you from all of us. You can still donate online. You'll find Sport Relief. All the details are there. The big night's coming up at the end of March.
Thank you,
Davina McCall, ladies and gentlemen. That's incredible.
Lovely interview as well.
Davina McCall. Fabulous. Still to come on the show, we've got Jennifer Hudson, Sue Perkins, Sir Richard Branson, we've got music from Elbow, so don't go away. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get my next guest out, I want you to take a look at her in the role that famously won her an Oscar. What made it all the more remarkable, of course, this was her first big part in a big movie. This is Jennifer Hudson in action in Dreamgirls. Please welcome the wonderful Jennifer Hudson. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Lovely to meet you. Come and sit down. Jennifer Hudson. Well, that is a lovely outfit. Congratulations.
Why, thank you.
Great to have you here. That's what a great scene that is from that movie, isn't it?
Thank you.
How long did that sequence take to shoot? Because, of course, I think most of us know those sort of things take longer to shoot than they do to watch, of course.
Oh, goodness, yes. I remember going to set, seeing this man going to work. And then, by the time I wrapped, it was like the next morning, and that same man was going back to work again. Yeah, so it took a long time.
And was that really, that was your first film?
Yes,
That
very
was your
first
first
film.
movie?
Acting, first time.
And then to get the Oscar for it as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that evening, that Oscar evening, because, well, or films generally. When you were growing up, did you ever think that this would be open to you, that you'd be making movies, that you'd have your, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
No, not any of it. I mean, I always wanted to sing. I knew at an early age, at the age of 7, what I wanted to do, and that was sing. And then acting kind of like chose me in a way. And I ended up being in Dreamgirls, and now I'm like Academy Award winning actress, then singer,
Yeah.
which is odd.
Where do you keep the Oscar at home?
It's on my, I have a, get this, it is a hidden wall, guys, listen. It's real. So it's a wall, and you think it's just all awards, and then it opens up like Batman cave into my futuristic office. Did you get that?
So you've got is there a button you press or a lever you pull?
Yeah.
How does it open?
Originally, you were supposed to touch the Oscar, and it popped open.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good,
That's
isn't it?
how they sold it to me, but it didn't happen that way. So it's a little remote, and everyone comes in, and you're looking at the awards like, oh my God, and that's the Oscar, that's the BAFTA, that's the Golden Globe, and then all of a sudden the wall just shoots open. They're like,
wow,
what is this?
Definitely. And what's waiting on the other side? Do you have anyone?
All my magazine covers.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is the remarkable thing. And I remember I watch American Idol occasionally, but I can't believe it was 10 years ago you were on American Idol.
10 years.
And at the time, if I remember correctly, Simon Cowell wasn't your biggest fan.
No. Oh, God, no. He told me I was out of my league. He talked about that outfit right there. He said it was like my Easter dress or something.
But we've seen how he dresses. He doesn't own a T-shirt anymore, so I don't know why.
Exactly.
And he said that he criticised your singing as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that you oversang.
And yes, I oversang everything.
So-
and everything about me was too big.
But that must have been pretty awful, I would have thought, going through that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because he's someone you listen to normally, isn't he?
Yes. He turned out to actually be my favorite judge, but because he was so honest, But, yeah, he was tough.
So was he right to an extent back then, do you think? What was he saying?
Was
there
he
something?
right? No, he was wrong. Look, give his Simon that credit. No, Simon.
Well, you clearly proved him wrong, there's no
I
doubt
sure
about
did.
that. OK, so your life must have changed about as much as it's possible for someone to change over the last 10 years,
God,
I would have thought. OK, what are the biggest changes? What are the things now that you take for granted or that you see as an everyday thing which you maybe wouldn't have even imagined before this all happened for you?
God, it's so much. It's just been a huge whirlwind. I don't even think I know how to answer that. I don't get to go too many places by myself these days.
So can you travel out? If you go out in the States, can you go places without people knowing who you are?
No. I've learned when your fans know you, they know you.
Yeah.
They could look at the back of your head. You could be covered from head to toe. And it's like, Jennifer Hudson. It's like, how can you know that's me from the back of my head?
If someone said you look like Jennifer Hudson, could you kind of like bluff it out and say, yeah, I get that a lot?
Oh, I do that a lot of times. Like one time I was living in Florida and I decided to go to it was a bowling alley. And they had like a contest, a singing contest, oddly. And I was I got in it. And I just love to sing. I don't care. I sing anywhere. And I started singing, and people was like, God, she sounds like Jennifer Hudson. I'm like, oh, thank you. I ended up winning. So I won. I couldn't tell them it was me because they would have kept the money. Like, you can't have it. Or would I still apply? I don't know. But I won $75. That was huge.
Pretty good.
We called it $75. So they ended up telling me, they was like, okay, you should come back next week because you'll get $200. And I'm like, yeah, little did they realize they don't even know they're talking to me. But a weird part, like with dealing with the people and them knowing who you are, this lady comes over to me and she's like, hey, they say you're Jennifer Hudson. Stick out your tongue. And I'm like, stick out my tongue? If you stick out your tongue, I can tell if it's you or not. And I'm like, I don't know if I should be sticking out my tongue for a stranger. It was just weird.
And well, you can't just leave us hanging there. I mean, did you show her the tongue or did you make an escape?
No, my fiance had a fit. Why are you talking to my girl like that? What do you mean stick out your tongue? Yeah. No, he was not having it.
Do you think she could have identified you from your tongue?
It's no telling. If they can identify me from the back of my head with a hood on, I guess they could tell by my tongue.
There's nothing about your tongue that we should know about, like it's not tattooed or anything? I mean,
it's really long. Maybe that's what she meant. I'm not gonna stick it out. Hang it up.
I kind of think we need to see it now. I'll be
Okay,
honest
you wanna see it? No, I can't.
It's up to you. You two are good. Okay, let's have a little look. Okay.
Okay, wait. Y'all ready? Okay.
It's not going to reach me.
I'm not doing that again.
Wow. Wow, that's a very fine...
But maybe that's what she meant.
Maybe that's what it is.
I could touch my nose, too. I'm not doing that, though.
Miley Cyrus is sitting there and saying, I wish I had a tongue like that.
No.
Okay, now here's a lovely thing. You have a beautiful young man in your life, a beautiful young son.
Yes.
Tell us about, is it David Jr.?
David Jr.
Okay.
He calls himself Boss Baby.
Wow. How old is he now?
He's 4.
What a beauty.
He's really tall for his age.
Okay, is he showing any kind of his mum's talent? Does he sing? Does he dance? Does he want to act?
He does a bit of everything, but lately he's super into dancing.
And you encourage you like to see...
I love it.
Yeah.
I just love him to be creative and find his own way. His father's a wrestler, a bodybuilder, and a lawyer, and his mommy is an actress and a singer. So we're curious to see how he's going to turn out.
So his father's... I knew he was a wrestler. I knew he was a bodybuilder. I didn't know he was a lawyer as well.
Yeah, he went to Harvard Law.
Wow, that's the guy I want representing me in
That's
court.
my body right there.
I mean, that's your lawyer. Imagine
He's a great lawyer, too.
That's your lawyer. So what's the next thing for you? I know you've got a new single, a new album. We're going to show a clip of this. And this is quite a new look for you, isn't it? You've done your hair I've never seen it quite as short as this before.
Oh, this is a new thing. So I just got inspired by, I don't know, I was on a plane and I was like, I want to cut my hair, do something different.
And the new single is called I Can't Describe the Way I Feel. And this is out right now. Have a look at this. It looks great.
That's why I never found the words to describe it. The way I feel, the way I feel high. The way I feel, I just can't put it words. What I feel for you, the way I feel, it feels so good it hurts. What you do.
How good's that, ladies and gentlemen? And so that's written and produced by Pharrell, who's currently some sort of weird hat thing going on. What's the thing with Pharrell and those hats?
That's his thing.
Yeah, did you like that?
I tell him, I'm like, you're just like an alien. He does. But I love it, though. And I got to work with Pharrell on this project, and he produced that track and several tracks on my upcoming album, so.
Could I get you to sing a little something? Would you mind? I know you're not here for that, but
Okay.
I would have thought to hear you sing a little something.
You gotta sing it with me, though.
I don't think we want. Let's not ruin it for everyone. I'll join in right at the end.
Okay. I'm gonna teach you in bits and pieces, okay? Now, this is one of my favorite songs on my new album, and it's called It's Your World. And R. Kelly sings it with me, so you're gonna be my R. Kelly.
I'd like to be.
He could be R. Kelly, right?
I'm trapped in the cupboard.
No, that was pretty good. Okay, so we gotta try this. The riff is, it's your world. Now, you gotta sing it too. Okay, do this much. It's your world.
That's still too much, Jennifer. Okay, I'll try. It's your world. I ran out of wind halfway through. I didn't realise we had to push
That's
through.
what happens when you sing with R. Kelly. I'm like trying to keep up.
I'd rather still be trapped in the cupboard. Give me one more bit without me singing over it. Come on, let's have one more bit.
Oh.
Just you. A bit of pure vocalese.
Pure vocalese. What can I sing for you guys? Somebody help me.
I know what.
What you want me to sing? Tell me.
Well, I'm telling you.
Oh, I could give you that. So you changed my key. And I am telling you, I'm not going. You're the best man I ever know. There's no way I could ever go. Is that good enough?
Wow. I got goosebumps. Have you got goosebumps? Jennifer Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
You are
Caesar went down. I'm just going to say that. Jennifer Hudson. Wow, what a voice. The hairs on the back there have gone. You sit back down there. Relax. That's over, though. That was great.
Thank you.
Oh, Jennifer Hudson, the fabulous Jennifer Hudson, ladies and gentlemen. Still to come after the break, we've got Sue Perkins, Richard Branson, that's so Richard Branson of you, and Elbow performing live. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest right out here. She is one of the few women I can ask about their buns without being accused of sexism. It's the fabulous Sue Perkins. I'm loving the Be Here t-shirt. Sit down, Sue Perkins. It's great to have you here, Sue. I love having you on the show.
Lovely to be here, thank you.
We've got to start with the Great British Bake Off. What a huge success. One of the biggest shows on TV now. Who'd have thought it?
Not me. They said, would you do it? And I said, no, it's about cakes, to be silly.
And it's coming back. I guess you haven't filmed this year's one. When do you film it? What time of the year do you film it at?
We film it in the summertime, which is the 2 days that you'll find around... we usually start end of April and we do 10 weekends and then it's done.
And 10 weekends, and presumably you do get to eat some of the cakes.
We get to eat all the cake. I'm a hoover for it. I can inhale a Victoria sponge just straight off the bat. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult show to do because we work for up to 10 minutes every 3 days. And I'm a husk, let me tell you. I sort of pitch up and I'll sort of say the word bake in a sort of slightly sarcastic way. I might vary the tone a little bit. Then I go off and watch a couple of box sets of Mad Men, and then this literally does happen. Somebody will, if something happens, that there'll be a sort of people will run. People run towards you with those sort of earpieces that Madonna has, and they'll say, "Cake is down! Cake is down!" And you'll run like that. And there'll be a sort of splattered tart tatin and tears, and then you'll do sad face, and then yeah, I can't tell you how joyous it is. I mean, I am the luckiest person alive. I really am.
Do you watch the box sets with Mary, with Paul, with?
Yes, we do. And she... but Mary loves Jeremy Kyle. We've got her into Jeremy Kyle. And she... This is extraordinary, isn't it? It's absolutely marvellous. And then after a while you'll go, it is real. Is it really? She watches all the box sets and depending on when she started drinking, she'll go in and out of conscious. I love that woman, but she's so long-suffering, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We treat her so badly.
Well, how do you give us an example?
Well, I have this thing where by 5 o'clock, I have to have a 5 o'clock squeal, it's called, but by 5 o'clock I had to have made the director shout so loudly across the tent with fury because we've done a classic double entendre and you can corral Mary into saying the most appalling things. So I will talk about sesame. Do you like sesame? Do you like pumpkin? You don't like... And she'll eventually say, I hate the taste of seed in my mouth. And then the 5 o'clock squeal will happen. Or if there's plums, it's an absolute gift. It's really tragic.
Does
it's
she
deeply
know
childish.
you're doing it, though? Did she catch on?
She's really good at spanking me. She can just really wallop my tush.
Well, what's this? There seems to be a kind of game you play on the set with a spanking implement.
Well, they have these sort of... because we're not allowed to have real props, so real cakes just get eaten. I'm like a locust. I will just work my way through it. So they stopped that in Series 2, and now we have plastic baguettes. And Paul, in particular, likes to take a running jump and thwack me so hard that my teeth knock together. Wow. Yeah. Wow. He's a sadist like that. But I got him. He overbent to receive a cob. And he overbent... just brought it up and I connected so intensely with Big John and the twins that... so that's what we do. It's like a playground.
OK, so Great British Bake Off done, but you're in the middle of filming something which sounds tremendously exciting to me at the moment. What's this? This is a journey through different parts of Asia?
Yeah, it's... I'm travelling up the Mekong River. So we start at the mouth in Ho Chi Minh City. At the delta, the big delta there, and it's going up through Cambodia, Laos, Yunnan province, China, and through the Tibetan plateau, and ending up as close as we can, permits permitting, to the source of that incredible river, where it's very pure and, Yeah.
Wow. Sounds like an incredible experience. You
Yeah.
must have already met some great characters, I would have thought.
Yeah, very amazing people and fantastic kids. And we were in Cambodia, which is a bit of quite a difficult place for me to go to. It's quite a troubled and quite dark place. But as a moment of light relief, they said, we've got you to see this amazing hermit, this holy man who's going to tell your fortune. And we climbed up this huge flight of steps, and there he was. And I just went like that, been told to greet him like that, and he greeted me like that. And then his hands started this quite intense journey down my back, and then just ended up deep in the buttock. And you're just like, this is obviously what happens in Asia. I don't want to be, I'm this terrible sort of colonial white idiot kind of doing that. Up again, and then just hanging off the jugs, just really hanging off. Is this a cultural thing? Is it a Buddhist thing? Did Lord Buddha say, white girl comes, just
give him a
have
squeeze.
a crack,
Yeah.
10 minutes went by, and he's obviously like thinking, no one stopped me, goes down to the buttocks again. And this is all captured on film. And then he sort of groped me rather in the heart. And I'm like, it's all getting a bit sweaty and difficult. And then loads of mates turn up with motorbikes and mobile phones. I'm thinking, I don't really understand the notion of hermit here. More groping by everybody. And then I said, would you read my fortune? You went, you'd be fine. That was it was perverse.
It sounds to me like you got there on a day when the hermit was off duty and
Yeah,
you had a standing. When's that show? When's it happening? When are we going to see the Mekong programme?
I think May. I think May time on BBC Two, yeah. It'd just be called The Mekong.
The Mekong.
The Mekong.
The Mekong. The Mekong.
Yeah.
OK, and let me ask you about your sitcom, which was Heading Out, which was I enjoyed very much. But it kind of... How much of it was autobiographical? Because it was a woman in her 40s in that who was finally coming to terms or finding the courage or deciding the time was right to come out to her parents, to her mum.
Yeah.
Was any of that from your life or was it...
Well, I am sadly over 40, but so that sort of transitional sort of thing was a bit autobiographical. But no, none of the rest of it was actually, because my sort of coming out was ages ago in the sort of dark ages, but also quite easy, although annoying. It was more annoying because it's a horrible thing to have to do, really, to sort of say. You're basically saying I'm having sex to your parents. And that's all it is. It's no more dramatic than that. But it's just blaring at them. They don't really want to know. They don't, But I sort of kept trying to ring them up, and eventually I thought I've got to do this. So I rung up and I said, "Can I come and see you tomorrow?" And my mum said, "Why?" And I went, "Well, we'll discuss that tomorrow. I'm going to come up." "Why do you want to come tomorrow?" "Because I do." "I'm just going to get your dad." "Right. 4 o'clock is..." "Why would you come tomorrow at 4 o'clock? This went on for ages." And she went, "Oh, God. Do you just want to tell me you're gay?" It was like... It was so annoying, because I thought... I had this moment planned where it was going to be slightly difficult, and there'd be tension and friction, and I'd flounce off, and I'd cry, and I'd look at a sort of piss-stained pavement, and I'd think, why? And I'd come back, and suddenly my mum would be embracing me, and all my family would be there, and then there'd be a fiesta. In fact, it was just my mum going, "Oh, God, God, get over it. Well, come if you want." Just to say, well, I'm not coming now, and just, it's no good.
But lovely in a way.
Yeah, to their credit, they're amazing. Yeah, but I mean, other people aren't as fortunate, actually, so I have to be mindful of that, but I was very lucky.
Yeah. Hey, great to have you on the show. I'm so looking forward to the Mekong programme, but really, and you know what I'm excited about. Yeah. Do you get people shout that to you?
I was in Angkor Wat, the massive temple in Cambodia, doing a really pretentious piece to camera that, thank God, will never make the edit, about the sort of way we like to commune at ancient sort of temples. And, just a load of guys went, "Bike!"
There you go. That's it for the rest of your life.
I know that. And look, there's Mel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sue Perkins. Thank you, Sue. So funny, so good. Sue Perkins. After the break, I'll be chatting with Richard Branson, and we'll have music from the fabulous Elbows. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My next guest is quite simply an extraordinary human being. He revolutionised the record industry, he revolutionised the travel industry, and he's appeared in some of the worst TV adverts I've seen in my entire life. It's the unique and brilliant Sir Richard Branson. Sir Richard. Go and sit down. I'm now never entirely sure how long you keep calling someone sir for, when it's OK to start switching to the first, second. Is there a protocol that we should know about?
Nobody's called me sir before, but you can start.
But you are you not a sir?
Technically, I am.
Good. I hope that wasn't just a rumour you started.
In America, you're walking down the street and you suddenly hear Sir Richard and you think, there's a Shakespearean play taking place somewhere.
So now, we're lucky to have you here. Now, officially, you don't... I know you're kind of a citizen of the world, in a way, so I think of you, but you don't officially live here in the UK anymore, do you?
I've spent a lot of time here, but I am now living as much as I can on Necker Island.
OK, and I think, you know, I don't think anyone will blame you for that. This isn't... I know this was... Some people in the paper suggest this, but this isn't for tax reasons, was it? This wasn't why you...
It wasn't, actually. I found it when I was 26 years old. It had one palm tree, and so it's been a lifetime of creating something very special. And you know, now in my 60s, and it's just a beautiful place.
Hey, we all need a retirement bungalow. When you say you found it, it's not like you were washed up. You're not like Robinson Crusoe.
What I was doing, I was 26. I was trying to persuade a beautiful lady to come and live with me. She was in New York, and I pretended I wanted to buy an island in the Virgin Islands, thinking that maybe the estate agent would lay on a house and a helicopter, and that's exactly what they did. So I managed to get her down for the weekend. And we went looking for islands, and we happened to see this island from the helicopter, and they wanted a fortune for it, about $5 million. I thought I could maybe scrape together £50,000, and that's what I offered. And they took the helicopter away, they took the house away, and we hitchhiked back to the airport. But the lady stuck with me. She's now the mother of my children, and the island, about a year later, nobody else came to see it. So we ended up getting it, and then I've been back here working very hard for nearly 40 years with the idea one day of you know, making it a home.
This is the thing, and I remember reading about this. I'm sure you did as well. There was, you know, this dream of yours turned into a bit of a nightmare back in 2011, was it, when you had the fire on the island? Was that caused by... It was a lightning strike, is that why?
Yeah, it was... we'd finished building a beautiful home, and 4 o'clock one morning, my son banged on my door and said, "Fire at the Great House." And I looked up there, and there were 300-foot flames coming out of it. My mum was in it, my daughter, nephews, nieces. And so for a horrible half hour, we didn't know whether everybody had got out. And unfortunately, everybody was all right.
Wow. Well, we have Richard's mother, Eve, is with us this evening, a quite extraordinary woman. Here's Eve in the green room. Hello, Eve, how are you doing?
Hi.
I believe, Eve, you and Davina, you go way back. You're friends from many years ago, is this right?
Yeah,
We are. I lived with my granny, and my granny and Eve were very, very good friends. So Eve and I, well, she was very, very calm and patient with me. You were so lovely to me.
I had to be. She was a little bit tricky.
Very nice, though.
But I've always been fascinated with your mother ever since I read your autobiography years ago, because the way in which she instilled self-confidence and sort of, I guess, just kind of a boldness of spirit in you seems to me, at the time I read it, I thought, God, this woman sounds crazy. Because when you were 4, is this true, she just dropped you off in a field and told you to make your own way home?
Yeah, I suspect I was misbehaving in the car, but yeah, and she...
Well, that's quite an extreme way of telling a child to calm down.
And she would be arrested today, but her whole approach was, you've got to stand on your own 2 feet, you know, you can't watch television, you've got to be doing things, and anyway, I taught her a lesson. I got thoroughly lost on the way home, and I made sure that they didn't find me for at least 3 hours.
Were you worried, though, Eve? Did you think that he might not make it?
Oh, God, I was so worried. I really thought, oh, now I've done it. I've really done it. I tried to make him a strong chap and not leave the car and go over the field, but it worked, because a little telephone call came through to me. "I've got a blue-eyed boy here. He's lost. Is he yours?" Oh, God, I was actually relieved. So I thought I mustn't be too strict with him. But ever since, I have been strict. But he's Richard Branson, so why not?
Well, you... yeah. Okay. Richard's mum has got a book coming out, Mum's the Word, The High-Flying Adventures of Eve Branson. I didn't realise the adventures, man, what a life you've had. That's quite incredible.
I felt the world ought to know what I've gone through, because it hasn't... it hasn't been easy to be Richard's mother. Would you want to be Richard's mother?
Let me talk briefly about your airline before we talk about the space travel, because that's the most exciting thing that's happening right now, I think. I read a quote from you, which I don't know if it's true, which someone asked you once, said, how do you become a millionaire? And, well, do you want to finish the quote?
Well, you start off as a billionaire and you go into the airline business.
But it's a success, though, isn't it? I mean, I think of Virgin Airlines as being a huge success.
Yeah, I mean, we started 30 years ago. Actually, I was trying to get from Puerto Rico to the Virgin Islands one day, and an American Airlines bumped us, and we didn't have an airline in those days. So I went to the back of the airport. I had Joan waiting for me in the Virgin Islands. I was determined to get there that night. And I borrowed a blackboard. I hired a plane, and I wrote Virgin Airlines, $29 one way to the British Virgin Islands. I went around all the passengers who'd been bumped, and I filled my first plane. And then when we got to the BVI, I thought, yeah, I mean, if we could sharpen up the service a bit, maybe we could start an airline. And then when I got back to England, I rang up Boeing and said, do you have any second-hand 747s for sale? They were quite amusing. They said, well, you know, what do you do? I said, well, we have a record company. We have the Sex Pistols. We have the Rolling Stones. Anyway, they said, you know, with a brand name like Virgin, they're not sure that your airline will go the whole way, so they wasn't quite sure it was a good idea to sell us a plane, but they said they would just give us a go.
Let's talk about space. Let's talk about you going to space, because this is incredible. And I didn't realise that this had been on the agenda for so long. We found a clip here, and I don't think this has been seen for a very long time, but this is a clip back from Going Live, the very popular children's show back from 1988. I'm going to remind everyone else. Look at this.
Who's that on line 3?
Shihan Mustafa.
Shihan. Off you go.
Hello.
Hi.
Have you ever thought about going into space, Richard?
I'd love to go into space, as I think pretty well everybody watching this show would love to go to space. I mean, when you see those magnificent pictures of in space and the incredible views, I think there could be nothing nicer. So if you're building a spacecraft, I'd love to come with you on it.
That's incredible, isn't it? 88. Wow, 36 years ago that is now.
I mean, you never know what sparks things off in your mind, but you know, as a result of that show, we registered the name Virgin Galactic Airways.
After that show,
after that show, I mean, we hadn't even thought about, you know, and then over the next decade, I started travelling around the world, meeting technicians, engineers, to see if anybody, you know, we could find a genius who could build a spaceship that could take you and me and, you know, into space. And finally, after meeting all sorts of strange and wonderful ideas, we came across a man called Burt Rutan, and he showed us how, on re-entry, turning the spaceship into a giant shuttlecock and bringing it into the Earth's atmosphere without the dangers of it burning up. But we're building space ships you know, shaped like aeroplanes or like spaceships, but, you know, not rockets, not ground-based rockets, and therefore, you know, we can go from sending people into space, then we can start doing orbital travel rather than suborbital travel.
So orbital travel will be a lot quicker, I guess, wouldn't it? That's when we're outside of the confines of gravity and the friction that we have here. So you could travel... How fast could you get... Once you're up there, how fast could you get from, say, England to Australia?
18,000 miles an hour. So in our lifetime, you know, I really do believe that we will be able to do the sort of London-Australia in a couple of hours.
Wow. OK, we have some footage, I think. I think this is from Spaceship Two, and this is something you've tested it two or three times, I think. You've actually... Yeah. And has it left... It's left our atmosphere, it's gone into what is known as space?
This one hasn't yet. It will be in the next 2 or 3 months.
Wow, OK, but this is incredible footage. It's beautiful. Look at this.
3, 2, 1...
OK, let me ask you, these are what I've read. I've read that these celebrities are confirmed to go into space with you, and obviously that's an interesting thing for you because it draws attention to it. Can you confirm or deny these, because some of these are just speculation, that Ashton Kutcher is going up? Because he invests, I know, in a lot of cutting-edge technology. Leonardo DiCaprio's going up? Wow. Yeah. OK, is Justin Bieber going up?
Justin Bieber's going up.
Is Justin Bieber coming back? Because you have the power. I'm joking. I like Justin. I'm joking.
There are a lot of people are putting some money into a pot for a one-way ticket for him.
Okay.
His neighbours, actually, in particular.
You still must, though. You still get a kick out of the business side of life as well, do you? Do you still enjoy it? I mean, are there moments of triumph for you, or have you achieved just about everything?
Do you know, I've never really seen myself as a businessman. Sounds bizarre. I've seen myself as somebody who loves creating things. And, you know, obviously, you know, the spaceship company is just the most ridiculously exciting thing that I've done in my lifetime. If we can get enough people wanting to fly it, then we can start building, you know, Virgin hotels in space. We can start doing, you know, trips to the Mars. We can start colonizing Mars. We can start, you know, pulling asteroids back to Earth to see what minerals they got in them. I mean,
just calm down, all right? You know what? I'm half expecting Richard Branson of the future to appear on the chair next to him and go, "Hey, we did time travel, brother," and then disappear again.
But can I say whose fault this is? It's my mum.
Yeah.
If I want to see my mum, you know, I'll ring her up and I'll say, Mum, you know, could we get together in 6 weeks' time? She'll get her diary out. Well, not 6 weeks, but I can do June the 17th. I'm expecting to say next year. I mean, her diary is so full and she's so busy, and I think that's what keeps her young and healthy and fit. We all have to run to keep up with that.
You know what? It's great to have you on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in saying thank you to a very special man, Sir Richard Branson. Great, thank you. So Richard Branson, ladies and gentlemen. OK, thanks to all my guests tonight. This is the last in the current series. We'll be back later in the year with more music and chat. But now, performing New York Morning, the fabulous Elbow.
Up and out into New York. Somewhere in all that talk is all the answers. And oh my giddy Aunt New York can talk. It's the modern Rome and vulcanized Yoko. Every bone of rivet steel, each cornerstone and angle, Jenga jut and rusted water tower, pillar post inside. Every painted line and battered ladder building in this town sings a life of proud endeavor and the best of man can be. Me, I see a city and I hear a million voices planning, drilling, welding, carrying their fingers to the north, reaching down into the ground, stretching up into the sky. Why? Because they can. They didn't do so. You and I can live together. made of everything, but the way it ends depends on if you're home. For every soul, a pillow and a window, please. In the modern Rome, where folk are nice to Yoko.
Elbow, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers.
And Jonathan will be back with more fabulous guests later in the year. Well, things get serious tomorrow night as we take our last ever trip to the rink. It's the big one. The Dancing on Ice live final is here at 7. Then Harry is